Right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jordan Eller, and I'm the Specialized Services and Supports Manager here in our Community Services Department. We are very excited to host our request for proposal for our fiscal year 25-26 Community Resource Development Plan. So before I start with sharing my screen and getting into the proposal for this project, I do want to introduce some of our team members today. I have with me some of our specialized resource developers that we're so fortunate to have. I have Miss Dee Dee Peters. Good afternoon, Dee Dee. We have Dan Kilmer is also on the line, our most veteran CPP resource developer. And we have Christy Schaefer, Virginia Gabby, and Norma Vioretta. So thank you guys. They're going to help me be presenting today. So I will go ahead and share my screen so that we can get started with the details of why you're all here. And I do just want to take a moment to thank you so much for your time today. It's great to see that we have 45 people on so far. So welcome again to the request for proposal. So we, Alta Regional, right, serving individuals with developmental disabilities, have identified, with the assistance of our stakeholders, that we are in need of an additional enhanced behavioral support home for youth ages 7 to 17, right? We have been seeing a need for younger clients needing these specialized group home placements. A lot of times it's ages 12 to 17, but we are seeing that need for younger youth. So this specific project will be targeting folks that are a little bit younger for 7 to 17. With enhanced behavioral support homes, we are only awarded those projects through our community resource development plan because they require startup funds, right? So for this project, we are looking for both a housing development organization, which we'll get into, and also the service provider for this project. So my team is going to go into details about the project and the proposal, but we do just want to let folks know that proposals for this project can be submitted by individuals, groups of individuals, or an agency. The applicant must have the relevant experience, right, that we're requiring to provide the care and supervision to these youth that have developmental disabilities, and many of them have co-occurring mental health disorders. The applicant should have and demonstrate knowledge and understanding to effectively deliver the service in which you are applying for. Any persons who are either a regional center employee or a state of California employee may apply, but you would have to cease your employment before being able to be selected. So just in general, right? So permissions for these proposals. Proposals for this project will be due December 3rd. We ask that those be submitted by 3 p.m. All proposals will be submitted to the RFP altaregional.org inbox. We are going to have my staff drop that email box into the chat, so that's easy for you guys. I do also just want to note that we will be posting this handout onto our website tomorrow. It'll be under the Community Resource Development Plan. And if anybody would like it emailed directly to them after today's presentation, please email that RFP inbox and we will get it emailed over to you.
You can't talk.
That's okay. I'm muted.
You muted it?
And please
Okay.
mute yourselves if you're not speaking. Thank you so much. And folks that are co-hosts, you can also help mute folks if that help is needed. So I am now going to turn it over to Dee Dee Peters, who's going to go over the actual project description for us. Dee Dee, does the size look okay on your end? Do you want me to make it any larger?
I got it. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
You bet.
So we're looking for both the housing development organization and the provider. This description will be for both of them. Again, it's an enhanced behavioral support home, or EBSH. You know, we like our acronyms, for children. So it will be a group home. For the acquisition and renovations, which would be for the HDO, it's $950,000 to acquire and renovate the home. The provider amount will be TBA, which is to be announced, because that will be for next year. We have to have time to find the home, renovate it, etc. But we like to have the providers already awarded this because they get to help choose and renovate the home, etc. That's why we want to do both at the same time. So direct service hours are a minimum of 356 hours per week, plus the additional staffing determined by each client. You know, there's a facility rate and the individual rate, so that will be determined by the teams, and then a minimal professional consultation of 12 hours per month per client. Description of this is a 4-bedroom EBSH group home that will provide services and supports to children with extensive behavioral, mental health, and/or sexual maladaptive support needs. This home will be developed in collaboration with an HDO who will acquire and renovate the property. Target population is again age 7 through 17. Identified, this home may be present challenging behaviors such as but not limited to AWOL property destruction, verbal and physical aggression, recidiveness, and sexual maladaptive behaviors. Children may be nonverbal, non-ambulatory, and require assistance with their ADLs. They may also have psychiatric diagnoses and will require management of mental health care needs. Children may come from out-of-state placements, hospitals, community crisis homes, foster or family homes. Children will be expected to transition within about 30 days of their 18th birthday. The scope of service is client outcomes include, but not limited to, improving ADLs, independent living skills, reduction and elimination of interfering behaviors and mental health concerns, are well managed with expectation that our clients could move to a less restrictive environment. The eligibility of the applicant must demonstrate a strong understanding of the challenges exhibited by the target population and types of renovations that must be made to the property in order to best serve the client population. Be able to work collaboratively with the HDO during the development phase of the project and complete the project in a timely manner. Applicant must have knowledge of the laws and regulations regarding group homes and EBSHs. Expectations of the program. Direct service hours that must meet the minimum criteria. Administrator on site at least 20 hours per week, and 1 lead staff and 1 direct care staff on site 24/7. Staff beyond this minimum is determined by each client's individual support needs. All staff will be required to be a registered behavior technician RBT certification. Applicant must have behavioral management systems that clearly and accurately identifies interfering behaviors, a strong tracking system, and a system in place to ensure a fidelity of behavior management. This home will be expected to work closely with the BCBA, which in EBSH language is a QBMP, client psychiatrist, and other medical and mental health service providers to address a client's mental health needs. Provider is also expected to work closely with local school districts to ensure clients receive a free and appropriate public education while residing in the EBSH.
Thank you, Dee Dee. We're now going to get into section 2, which Christy Schaefer will present. We will ask that you hold all your questions till the end. We'll have plenty of time for questions and answers, and feel free to put things in the chat as we go. Thank you. Go ahead, Miss Christy.
Okay, so this is applicant criterion and the RFP process. So for the purpose, the community placement plan and the community resource development plan are designed to address and develop unmet and undermet needs of the regional center clients. It includes the development of the necessary community resources for clients who are ready to transition from a state developmental center, institute of mental disease, or other highly restrictive setting in the community, or to assist those who are at risk of moving into one of those placements or have unique support needs. Alta Regional Center solicits the community through a request for proposal or an RFP to seek out qualified providers who are able and willing to meet the specialized needs of this population. The expectations of the selected applicant. It is expected that the selected applicant work collaboratively and closely with the regional center, provide careful and thorough planning in all aspects of the project, work diligently and complete the project in a timely manner, commit to providing quality services, submit updates and summaries detailing progress made towards meeting the toward meeting the project objectives, and report any major delays with the project immediately to Alta Regional Center. Alta Regional Center will communicate regularly with the selected applicant, licensing, certification agencies such as Community Care Licensing, Department of Developmental Services or DDS, and other stakeholders who have an interest in the development of this project. Through this RFP process, an applicant must demonstrate strength in the areas of clinical, administrative, and financial responsibility. The selected provider must complete a DS 1891 and have no exclusions prior to being awarded this project. Referrals. Client referrals are initiated through the appropriate interdisciplinary team, Specialized Services and Supports Unit, SSSU, client planning team, etc. For clients transitioning from an SDC, IMD, or out of state, the respective agencies and representatives from those agencies will be involved until the transition to the community is complete. Written proposal. Proposals are submitted in response to this RFP are intended to be an overview of the applicant's expected delivery of service for the targeted client population. A more detailed description of the prospective service plan or program design will be developed during the vendorization process. The proposal must be written in a professional manner and clearly reflect the applicant's intended delivery of service. The selection process. The selection committee will review and score all proposals using a 100-point scale. Top points are given to the various sections of your proposal that reflect the appropriate supports and services offered to the individuals you are planning to serve. The top 3 applicants with an average proposal score of 70% or above will be interviewed. Alta Regional Center reserves the right to interview other applicants who may not be in the top 3 or have a score below 70%. The RFP timeline. Today is the RFP orientation, November 6, 2025. Proposals are due December 3rd, 2025. And what was mentioned earlier was that they are due on that date by 3 p.m. We will read and score proposals December 12th, 2025. Applicant interviews will begin December 15th through December 19th. Alta Regional Center final selection will be January 6th, 2026. And then contracts will be signed no later than June 30th, 2026. Alta Regional Center reserves the right to modify the above timeline. Startup funding. Startup funding is available for these projects. Funds are meant to aid in the development of the project, but may not cover the entire cost. The selected applicant is responsible for costs that exceed the available startup funds. The selected applicant will complete a startup funds allocation, detailing how the funds will be used. Prior to any disbursement of the funds, the startup funds allocation must be approved by Alta Regional Center. Licensure vendorization. The selected applicant must acquire and maintain all appropriate licenses and certifications for the program, service, and or the individuals operating and providing the services which are required to operate the program or service. Selected provider will become vendored under the service code 999 for startup funds, and then become vendored under the appropriate service code for the program. Selected applicants will complete all requirements to become vendored, including completion of Alta Regional Center's vendor training applicable to the service. So for example, that would be vendor orientation, behavior management skill training, program design workshop, medication training, P&I training, record keeping, SIR training, and accounting or e-billing training. Prior to vendorization, the selected applicant must have an approved program design, approved fee schedule, if applicable, and execute a service provider agreement with Alta Regional Center. Non-discrimination. Alta Regional Center shall not discriminate in the selection of an applicant on the basis of race, color, creed, national origin, ancestry, sex, marital status, disability, religious or political affiliation, age, or sexual orientation. Alta Regional Center contacts. The email that you would be sending your proposals to or asking any questions is in the chat. It's rfp@altaregional.org. And as was mentioned earlier, we will post the handout on our website tomorrow. If you want us to send you a copy of the handout directly, please email us at the rfp@altaregional.org, and we will email you a handout copy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chrissy. That was perfect. Dan Kilmer is now going to go over part 3 of our proposal guidelines.
Cool. Thank you, Jordan.
Yes.
Okay, so part 3 is the guidelines to write your proposal. So when you're drafting it, please consider how you will enhance or specialize based on the client profile in part 1 above of the project. We ask that you draw from your experience, your education, and creativity when deciding what services and supports you want or need for this home, and then thoughtfully consider how services will be delivered, and consider how your proposal will stand out from the others. So imagine we're reviewing 10 proposals or more. How is yours going to stand out amongst those? And then if you just provide generic resources or descriptions without any kind of enhancements or specialized responses, that could hinder your chances. So be creative, draw on your experience, and don't just stick with the generic. Let's see, it is expected that this is a program summary. It's going to highlight the specialties and enhancements of this of the EBSH. So it's a program summary it's not meant to highlight every aspect of the program. So just keep it, as you see below, we're keeping this to the programs only to 15 pages. Whoever is selected for this EBSH will develop their program plan at a later point. Okay, so the format of your proposal will be double spaced, 12-point font times the Roman and 1-inch margins. So, and that also it makes it easy for us to review these. Imagine we have a bunch that we have to go through. It just makes it easy for us to do that. Okay, so so we have the HDO, the Housing Development Organization, who will be applying for the housing part, and then we'll have the service provider section. So those who are applying to actually operate the home. So the first part here will be for the HDOs. Okay, so we can start with a program summary. If you down below, so it says service provider applicant proposal. The HDO can kind of draw from those items, but write it in a way that's in the perspective of a housing group. So the program summary, and then there's a sources and uses budget that will be attached, an operating budget, and that makes up the lease, sample debt service, pro forma cash flow statement, and projected ongoing cost. And then the attachments are below. So references that there's a statement of disclosure, and then the HDO development and property management team resumes. So if you have any questions about these documents, just reach out to the RFP box, and then we can reply to it. If you are HDO attending, you should know what these are. Let's see. Okay, so the second part here is for the service provider. So I'm going to start your proposal with a title page. That's attachment A. And then the applicant agency information, maximum 2 pages. We just want to know who you are, what you do, what services you provide. So keep it to 2 pages, and that's 10 points total for that. Your program summary will be maximum of 15 pages and 90 points total. And your program summary needs to address all these items here. I think it's 12 different areas. Okay, so we'll just go through each of these. So describe the type of location or the area this e-visit should be developed. And what is the ideal layout of the home, so that the interior, and what landscaping and outdoor amenities do you hope to have for this home? So we have the inside the house, then outside the house. So provide your ideal layout for those. Describe your plan to provide community access, integration, and your plan to support clients' educational needs, and your plan and approach to supporting clients with a higher degree of sexualized behaviors. So it wasn't quite emphasized in part 1, but well, every home we support in Jordan's in her unit, they can handle clients with sexualized behaviors. But with this home, we are looking at that being a specialty of the home. So we are expecting this home, this EBSH, to be able to handle clients who have higher degrees of sexualized behaviors. Okay, describe your staff training plan to best serve the clients identified in part 1 above. Let's see. And then what are the minimum requirements for your staff to work in your home? And what criteria would you consider with hiring, if any? What other criteria other than the minimum will you consider? Which consultants do you plan to use, and explain their role and responsibilities? Let's see, describe your plan to ensure all staff are implementing the individual behavior support plan correctly. See, describe your plan to effectively transition the clients into your home. And the next part is to describe your plan to transition them out of your home and to facilitate that process. And then what is your plan in serving diverse populations, including but not limited to culturally and linguistically, and provide an example. And then the attachments. So we have the sample staff schedule. So fill that out. And then we're assuming, so it's a 4-bed home. So do your sample based on a full capacity. And then projected ongoing cost. We will email you a separate cost data workbook that you can complete. There's a reference page, and then a statement of disclosure, and then resumes attached. So if you scroll down, yeah, so there's, yeah. You scroll down more, yeah, so there's the title page. And then we have the sample staff schedule. Oops, keep going. Then I think the last, see, attachment C is the references. And then the statement of disclosure. I think many of you are familiar with these documents already. And that's it.
Excellent. Yeah, so this is pretty standard. And of course, you guys can read this word for word should you want to apply. Thank you, Dan, so much. What I'll do now is I'll stop sharing my screen so we can open it up for any questions that people may have or may already be in the chat. Miss Virginia Gabby, do we currently have any questions in the chat that we need to address?
We do not. We do not. We're just kind of chatting. Oh, when is the proposal due? Yes,
Yeah.
we do have one.
Yes, the proposal is due December 3rd at 3 p.m. via the RFP at altaregional.org inbox. Thank you, Manuel. And folks, no need to be shy, right? You're welcome to reach out to us independently.
I have another question in the chat. How many EBSH programs does ACRC have currently?
We currently have 8, correct, team? Including our delayed egress secured perimeter.
Yes.
We only have 2 children's EBSHs at this time. And in regards to the next question in the chat, a QBMP is a qualified behavioral management professional. And at our agency, our QBMPs are board certified behavioral analysts. Good questions. We'll make sure to add that description in our proposal before we post it to the website.
I have a
Are
question.
these different from level 7 children's group homes?
They are. Children's group homes are vendored under either service code 920, right? Depending on if it's a staff operated home or a live-in home, right? So we would use the standard ARM level service codes for those. And enhanced behavioral support homes have completely different regulations. Actually, Dee Dee, if you wouldn't mind pulling the regulations for the EBSH and putting those into the chat, or anybody on my team that has quick access to that, that would be great, just so folks have those EBSH regs.
Just give me a minute.
Yeah, no problem. We can keep chatting while we put that in there. This is supposed to be recording, so we will also post this on our website tomorrow. Let's see what else we got, Ms.
To
Gab.
answer, what level are EBSH considered? Are they higher than a level 7?
Yes. Level 7 EBSH. There's a step above a level 7. And then, so I'm seeing some of the chat here. So at DS 1891, right, the Office of Inspector General, it's a federal requirement. We are required to screen all applicants before they are vendored to ensure they do not have any Medi-Cal or Medicaid fraud. So it is a form that you would fill out, and then you would get into a portal, put information into the portal. We would, give you full instructions for that process, but it's specifically to ensure that there's no Medi-Cal or Medicaid fraud within the individuals within the corporation, or that would be, directly operating this home.
Does ACRC have a preference location within the catchment area?
Team, you guys can also pitch in on this if you want to. In general, we definitely want this to be placed where there are access to community resources in regards to like a school district and things like that for children. But I think we are open to what the applicant would be interested in. All of our children's EBSHs are currently in Sacramento County, correct, team?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't have one in Placer or Yolo, right? Sutter, Yuba. So we would be open to hearing suggestions from each applicant.
It's also going to depend on where we can purchase the home and what's best for the needs of the clients. Because these are kids with not only they need to go to school, but they also have sexual maladaptive behaviors. We need locations that can access therapies that would match their needs.
Thank you, Dee Dee. That's great.
How is the provider rate identified?
Dan, do you want to go over the facility?
So the rates are negotiated between the regional center and the service provider. We start with the cost data workbook that's part of your application, and then we go from there. And so once we agree on the cost for the program, then we build those costs into what's called the facility rate, and then there's the individual rates for the clients. So it's through a negotiation between the regional center and the service provider.
And then I think what's also important to note on the facility rate and both the program design, they both have to be approved and certified by DDS, right? So not only are these EBSHs vendored with Alta, licensed by CCL, but they have to be formally certified by the Department of Developmental Services. So they will be the final one to render if the facility rate that we have negotiated with the vendor is appropriate and approved, and also for the program design.
If I had worked in a group home in Sacramento, level 6, would that experience qualify?
So can I answer that,
Yeah,
Jordan?
please, that'd be great.
So the second question also asks about individual applicant qualifications. So I'm going to put these together. The biggest thing you need to do is please look up the regulations. They do have all the requirements of what an administrator is, lead staff, DSP staff. Some of this also is going to be, for example, all staff need to be registered behavior technicians. They also need to have group home experience. So it depends on, have you ever worked in a children's home before or other experience like that? So there's actually quite a few different experiences that you would need to have this type of EBSH, also group home. So you have to meet the group home regulations, which is Title 22, and also the EBSH regulations, which is Title 17.
Next question. What do you mean generally as sexually maladaptive behavior? Does this include forensic?
So yes, so right, there might be youth that have inappropriate vocalizations, right? Might say derogatory sexual comments, but there's also youth that directly may have behaviors toward staff or toward peers that are sexual in nature, right? And in this regard, there could be children that have been charged through the juvenile court in regards to inappropriately touching peers, right? We sometimes have youth that are charged with inappropriately touching or having sexual encounters with their siblings, right? That's something that we do see within our service system. We also have youth that unfortunately have been sexually assaulted themselves and then developed acting out behaviors that are sexual in nature. Does that help, Sarah, with that question? So it wouldn't just be, youth that may have inappropriate masturbation. It might be youth that are trying to sexually act out.
Okay. And some other questions that we have coming in are about the qualifications of not only the administrator, but also the staff. The best thing to do is to definitely check out those regulations for EBSH and group home. Dee Dee did post that and in the chat. Next question, is it gender specific per home?
No, it is not.
We need our EBSHs to be both available for male and females.
And then what we can do too is, Dee Dee, I know you put the exact regulation, but if we can link the actual website, because sometimes it can be hard to find those regulations. And if that's not quick access for anyone on my team, I could quickly just pause for a moment and get on the website and actually do a live link, because it will take them directly to that. So that might be helpful.
I can do it, Jordan.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I'm loving the questions. This is good conversation. You got anything else, Miss Virginia?
That is, oh, can a DSP who is currently working with children's specialized home apply and then complete the administrator class while going through the application or startup process?
Dan, you want to take that one?
Let's see. Yes. Yeah. So we're looking at this home hopefully being opened up within 12 to 18 months. So that does give an applicant time to get those credentials. Yeah. And I'll say, just real quick on that California Code of Regulation link, if you click on it now, then it'll open up into your browser right to the EBSH regulations. So I would encourage everyone who's applying for it to read every single word and every single period and comma. It's going to help you.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Does Alta have training programs for BH certification? And Dee Dee has answered that. No, we do not.
And sorry, folks, what would BH certification be?
I took it as group home. I thought it was
Okay.
group home,
Oh,
but I
like
could be
group
wrong.
Oh, BH. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
And if
Mhm.
anybody, Uzoma, if you want to clarify, we're happy to, but we do not certify anyone specifically for any type of licensure.
Yeah, no, I think if you go through the Title 22 or licensing's group home certification, that's where you get all that training.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there are several providers throughout California who do offer the group home administrator training and certification.
Mm-hmm. And then, Jonah, I saw that you put in the chat, so the EBSH regulations, right? Those are linked right above from Dan at 134 in the chat. And then for the group home regulations, those are going to be on the CCL website under Title 22. If any of my team quickly has time to get that link, we can do that. But if not, you would gather that from the community care licensing stuff. Okay. Anybody else have
All
questions? We can
right.
take them live too if you want to unmute yourself and ask any questions, or we're happy to answer those. And if you do have follow-up questions, you can reach out to the RFP at altaregional.org. My team will be monitoring that very closely over the next couple of months while we're going through our RFP process. I will also put my information in the chat should you need to directly contact me. And it looks like Dan will put the Title 22 regulations into the chat.
Yeah, it just says residential on it. If you click
Okay.
on it, it'll give you the regs for every single type of home. So scroll down to the group home. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay. That is one moment. Due to the support needs, modalities, and behavioral components of minors, would ACRC recommend the program design reflect one-on-one supports in the RFP?
So it is extremely common that youth within this display these types of behaviors and require specialized support are provided staffing ratios at a minimum of a 1-to-1, right? I mean, that's kind of typical. We also sometimes see youth who require a 2-to-1. Right. There's also some clients that maybe when they're in the facility, right, they would be good at a 1-to-1 or maybe a little less, but when they're out in the community, they need that additional staff for like a 2-to-1, right? So we do see those ranges. But team, would you say it's pretty common, right, that most of our youth require a 1-to-1 in both the enhanced behavioral support home setting and our community crisis home settings?
Minimum, yeah.
Yeah, minimum. Mhm.
And again, it is person-centered. So I would say for the purpose of the program design, and for the purpose of the RFP, to demonstrate that you are person-centered and will staff according to the child's needs.
Anybody else have any questions for us? And as you fill out, right, as you get the proposal and you fill that out, we know that there will absolutely be more questions and we welcome those. We want you guys to get all your questions answered before we actually start scoring proposals, right? I did, just for convenience to remind folks, put the timeline in the chat. And just a friendly reminder, like Christy Schaefer noted, the December 3rd deadline, we are requesting those be submitted by 3 p.m. so our staff can get a little start on getting those looked through and organized before the next business day.
We do have a request. Please give more information on the housing development.
Okay. Dan, I'm trying to think of what
Yeah.
additional information we could provide for the housing development organization.
Yeah. Yeah, I would encourage you to email the RFP box and then we can forward the housing guidelines from DDS. But in general, the housing organization is going to purchase the home, renovate the home, And then they're going to hold a home in perpetuity for our clients. And so they're managing the kind of the physical structure for the home. They actually own the home. So that's their responsibility. And then they're going to lease it back to the service provider. So that's in a nutshell. If you do email the RFP box, then we can forward you the housing guidelines, and that will give you some more insight into what's required for that.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Let's see, I think one more thing popped up.
Pertaining to what was identified earlier, would the provider need to provide in-house psychiatry and psychology supports, or could that be subcontracted by a contracted entity?
So I can take that one, folks. So for some of our youth, right, we always are required to exhaust any generic resources. So if we have a youth that is eligible for county mental health, we would pursue that. But each of these youth will have individual facility rate. I mean, an individual budget. And within that budget, if a youth needed a contracted psychiatrist, psychologist, LC, licensed clinical social worker, maybe a trauma-informed counselor, the service provider would directly contract with those consultants, and we would fund those consultation services on the youth's individual budget. For this model, the consultation hours that Dan discussed earlier, it's a minimum of 6 hours of behavioral management, right? So from a BCBA, and then a minimum of 6 other consultation services. Maybe rec therapy, like I mentioned, psychiatrists, psychologists, right? Maybe some counselors. Sometimes we see music therapy, right? So those are some examples. Team, if I left anything out, please feel free to add.
Okay, I think we're slowing down. I think we've answered all the questions.
All right. So just friendly reminder, right? We got the RFP inbox. Oh, I will just give me one moment. I want to just put our community resource development plan website link into the chat. So just give me one moment, because this is where we are going to post the handout tomorrow and the recording of this public RFP. So let me just get that into the chat right now so that you folks know where to look for that information tomorrow. And if you're interested in having the proposal sent to you before that, please email the RFP inbox, and we'll be happy to send that over as our time permits this afternoon and tomorrow morning. And I just want to give people just one more additional chance, right? I'm happy to hang on for a few minutes if anybody has questions. I see Ping from Brilliant Corners is saying hello. Hello, Ping. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
We can wait to get the RFP submitted. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you.
Yeah.
So folks, just know you can reach out to us. We really appreciate your time today and participating in this to learn more about the project and our community resource development plan. It is very important to us here at the Regional Center. So we really just want to thank you for your time and participation today. So I'll stay on for just one more minute, but thank you all. We'll end the meeting here in 1 minute. Thank you. Thank you,
Michael
Ping.
says, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Michael, too, for setting up our ASL interpreter. Very helpful.
Thank you.
And while we're just here, I want to say really quickly, I know the Veterans Day weekend is coming up. If any of you guys are veterans, thank you so much for your service or your past service. And I hope everyone does have a very nice Veterans Day weekend.
Hi, Jordan.
Thank you. Are we? All right. Oh, looks like there's one.
I can take this one, Jordan.
That'd be great. Thank you, Dee.
There's a couple of preloaded things like administrative costs. Obviously, the lease is based on the the HDO and DDS. But everything else is, per regulation of the items that are allowable.
Jordan, did you want to take that question? Mentioned before was the facility rate. Will the cost worksheet have
That's what I
various
was-
line items?
That's what I was just answering.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Dee Dee. I
Oh, no, it's
apologize.
okay. And there'll be various line items, right? It's very detailed, breaks down insurance cost and training costs and all kinds of the cost to maintain the facility and utilities and all those many different things that come into a facility rate. So it's very detailed.
Again, if you go to the regulations, you're going to understand the things that have to go into that cost data workbook. They are really laid out.
Thanks, Dee Dee.
Sure.
Okay, well, I want to just thank you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday afternoon, and we will get this information posted to our website tomorrow. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.